Hello, Sunday Sangha. Got a little, thought I had a little background there, a little echo. Good to see you. I have a couple new photos from Saladana. In part, gracias por Lara's amazing cleaning job yesterday. I will pick a new one and you can see it from a more broad point of view. I got to get out of the way. How do I do that? That's an odd spot to be teaching though, so I'm going to go back to the other one. Oh, there's Anamonica. Hi, Anamonica. We have a couple new faces, I think. Welcome. Samira, are you in Spain or where are you?
Hi, nice to meet you. Yes, I'm in Madrid right now.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Mark, have you been with us before?
I have not. I'm in Chicago, and one of the nice things about this horrible time is I can drop in on communities like this. So I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Welcome. How did you find out about it?
I'm part of a Sangha here in Chicago, and I just did a meetup search. People have been dropping in to our Sangha from all over the place, and I thought I can do the same thing. So I just searched and found yours.
All right. Thank you. Let's see. Yeah, I think everyone else looks familiar. Esther, you've been with us before?
I'm in Madrid, not with you, but yes, with Juanma and Chema. This is the first time that I'm here on Sundays, because I didn't know that on Sundays you also have a meditation. So
I know they never announce it.
because it's in English, you know.
They may be afraid to lose their.
I suppose, but I don't know. It's the first time. I love what you do, and it's very helpful for me. So why not to be here also on Sundays?
Thank you. Well, welcome. Bienvenida.
Thanks.
So as we talked a little bit last week, I thought we would continue exploring the practice of awareness, which I've done a little more investigation, you might say, and I can't believe the number of names that this particular practice has, but some of them can be quite helpful, the names. So for instance, one of the ways that it is called is objectless awareness. So objectless awareness, sin objeto. Also, I like this one very much from Diane Winston, natural awareness. Natural awareness, so just being with our regular natural awareness as it is. A teacher that I had, he's a non-dualist teacher in the United States. His name is Adyashanti. He calls it true meditation. And I remember when I first was introduced to that and I read his book and I thought, it's kind of arrogant, you know, to say that your meditation is true meditation, what, and the rest are false. But basically, he just describes awareness of awareness. It's no different. So I actually have his book on Kindle, so I'm going to read a little bit from it because I think he explains it really well. But we'll do it after we practice for a little while. So as we've been doing, more or less, we'll do 20 minutes of a 30-minute meditation, centering, stabilizing, calming the mind with a shamatha practice, using whatever anchor you prefer. And then at about maybe a little bit earlier, maybe 11, 12 minutes to go, I'll add some instructions about awareness of awareness. And don't worry, the awareness of awareness part hopefully will be the easiest thing you've ever done. And if it's not easy, then you're not doing it right. You need to make it easy. Okay, does anybody have any, like, a question or want to say something before we start? Okay. So here we go. On your mark, get set, run, go. So let's find a comfortable posture. One that hopefully you can maintain for 32 minutes or so. One where the body is relaxed, the body is comfortable, and yet also there is a sense of stability, of uprightness. That is, the back is straight, the head maybe tilted just a bit forward so that you open up the vertebrae in the back. I often call this a noble posture. Posture with dignity. And let's find this posture. Let's find this body. So maybe putting your awareness now in the area of the belly. Feeling the belly. You can maybe take a couple deep breaths to really push the belly open. Really feel your breath, feel your body. In Vipassana, we often talk about observing the breath in its natural state. And we do want to do that, but every once in a while, de vez en cuando, a nice deep breath can be very helpful. So now maybe expanding or extending your awareness to include more body parts. Maybe going down, feeling your legs or feet, any points of contact. Feeling how you're supported by Mother Earth. And coming up through the trunk of the body, heading towards the head, including the arms. I'm just trying to notice whatever is present. Any sensations, tickling, itching, temperature. But with this attention in the body, we embody our awareness. We really unify the mind and the body and hopefully the heart. And so for the next 16, 17 minutes, we'll do a shamatha practice where we pick an object and we just let the mind come back to this object again and again, letting thoughts go, letting thoughts pass by. So you could use the posture, the sensations in the body, or you can focus in on the breath. Maybe picking a spot that you like. The breath is very obvious, easy to follow, and maybe even pleasant. Or lastly, if you're just not wanting to connect to the body right now, you can use sounds or hearing, a receptive, just hearing, listening. If you have a practice of labeling, you can label, for instance, your breath, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling. And if thoughts arise, thinking, returning, inhaling, exhaling. Or if you use the sensations of the body, feeling, sensing. Just trying to relax into this present moment, relax into your chosen object or anchor. Trying not to push too hard, don't criticize, don't judge. Have an open, curious mind. If you are experiencing a lot of thought, maybe the mind is very attached to something. One trick or tool you could use is maybe go back to the body and try to find any sensation in the body that might be connected to or related to the thinking. And if you find anything, just try to feel it, experience it, and see if that doesn't loosen up the thought process some. So maybe you're feeling a little more centered, the mind a little more collected, maybe calm or calmer. So you're invited to continue practicing in this way, using an object, an anchor, or you can do the open awareness or the awareness of awareness. And I'll give some instructions about that. Starting with, I invite you to move your awareness to hearing, to listening. And imagine listening to or for sounds that are as far away as possible. So yes, you notice maybe the sound of my voice, but maybe listen beyond that. So maybe your neighbor's voice or sounds from the street. It's being in a receptive mode, waiting even for sounds to come to you. Just waiting, nothing to do, nowhere to go. Now imagine looking with your eyes, which you can do either with them open or closed. If they're closed, just looking at the back of your eyelids. And if they're open, looking at the periphery of your vision. The end, you might say, of your field of vision. And now try to do both. Be receptive of sounds coming. We notice, we're aware that sounds are there. And we are noticing the back of our eyelids, or we're noticing the periphery of our room, wherever we are, our vision. You got your ears open, you might say, and you might even have your eyes open or at least active. And see if you can do them both at the same time. Don't use too much effort, just kind of relax into it. Now I'm going to add feeling your body, or that is noticing what the body is feeling. Noticing any sensation in the body. Don't fixate on it, but just notice if there's sensation in the body. You can maybe even ask yourself, is the body experiencing sensation right now? Is there sensation? And just playing with this for a couple minutes. Receptive hearing, vision that is active, feeling the body. Noticing any sensation in the body, maybe that might include the breath. And hopefully you can see that you are aware. You know this. Body is aware, it's aware of sounds coming, be aware of sight when the eyes are open, or even almost like a cavity or a cave, but a space when the eyes are closed. And the body experiences sensation. And we know this. It's just natural. We don't have to do anything. And if you're lucky, maybe there's even some scent, some smells in the room. You can notice that as well. Or the nose, the sense of smell, just picks that up. And you may notice thoughts. Thoughts will come, you notice them, and they go. We're in the sixth sense gate in Buddhist philosophy. And for the next couple minutes, what I invite you to do is to just be aware of whatever arises. Don't try to manipulate or change or move away from anything. Just let it come, including thoughts, and just see if you can relax into this space of awareness, this natural state of awareness. If you get lost in thought, and you notice that, you can just ask, what am I aware of? What is the body aware of right now? Let's bring you back to the moment. You might notice that the mind is in no particular place. It seems to be everywhere at once or nowhere. Good. So no matter where your mind has been, how your practice has gone, let's return to the body, maybe bringing our attention into the heart space, into the area, center of the chest. And just take a moment to reflect, to remind ourselves of the goodness of our practice and how we practice not only for our own well-being, which is extremely important, but also the well-being of all beings. This is our expression. And if you can, imagine that you can extend this kind, loving awareness, as Ram Dass used to call it, to include everybody here on this call. Kind of like we could give them a big awareness hug. Remembering too, recalling, reminding ourselves that everyone here too is practicing for themselves and for all beings. When you hear the sound of the bell, just notice what comes up, any thoughts, any sensations. Again, just noticing. Well, thank you very much. Wow, I got a little buzz from just even leading the meditation in that way. It's so interesting. I'm going to take one, just like, sounds like my computer is like hot as hell or something. I'm going to see if I've got one too many programs on. Get rid of that one. This one. Can you guys hear a little like buzzing? Oh, somebody's nodding their head. Do you also hear that when Chema leads too? Not when Chema does. See, I hear it when Chema leads. But I think it's the fan of my computer maybe. Oh, it's calming down. Oh yeah, I think it was because I had this, they call it parallels. With a Mac, you can also run Windows. And I got a feeling I was just exhausting it. Oh yeah, it's chilling out. Oh, great. Okay. Well, thank you for indulging me in that practice. I thought we would talk a little bit about it. But before I mention anything, is there anybody who has a question or would like to share about their experience or anything else? No? Everybody was like, maybe we'll stimulate something with some of the teachings around it. I do want to kind of preface that, there are many kinds of meditation, right? And in Buddhism, primarily, we have two. We have our concentration, samadhi, samatha meditations. And then we have our vipassana or insight meditations, right? And then the metta, loving kindness, the Brahma Viharas, they tend to fall in the concentration group because in fact they're used for concentration and ultimately for jhanas and so forth. Oh, it looks like I got a chat question. That's exciting. Oh, what time does this class start? It starts at 7:30 Madrid tarde time. 7:30. Thank you. Which, depending on where you are, could be another time, right? But here it was 7:30. So in Buddhism, we have these two types of meditation. We have our concentration meditation. We have our insight meditation. And for some people, concentration on an object, like single focus, is what their mind enjoys or what their mind finds rather easy. Or for instance, I have one friend who's also a teacher at IMS, and his mind will even get a little agitated if it doesn't have something it can concentrate on. Now for him, things like the jhanas, the deep concentration, it comes fairly easy because he's already inclined towards that concentration. So now with this awareness of awareness, this is much more expansive, right? This is almost like limitless in terms of how far the attention or the awareness can go. So if you're somebody, or if you have a mind that likes to concentrate on one thing, this might be kind of challenging. And then there are people, and I would consider myself this type of person, or my mind is this type of mind, where it wants to be vigilant, is kind of a way to put it. It's like almost hyper vigilant especially when it comes to sounds. And my mind is always sort of on the lookout. Now, this is, causes and conditions in our life and our childhood and, maybe DNA, all these things, they impact what our mind is going to prefer or not prefer, or what it's going to find easy and helpful and not so easy, right? There's no right, there's no wrong. There's no good, there's no bad. But part of our practice is finding, what works for us. Now, prior to, let's say, 1 year ago, for me, I practiced mostly samatha or concentration practice, even though I wasn't very good at it, but I enjoyed it. And then I developed this chronic sinus issue that really makes it difficult to put my attention on my nose, on my breath. So that's when I really started to go with this open awareness. And now I have totally fallen in love with it. And it's like, it almost feels more appropriate to my mind than was the other one, where sometimes I'll just sit and I'll just kind of bliss out. It's so nice, for me. But if it's not for you, it's not for you, and don't force it. In fact, especially with awareness, it's very much about not forcing it. In fact, I remember when I was first introduced to it, some 10 years ago or whatever it was, and it's like nothing happened. It's like I wasn't feeling anything. It felt kind of boring. It didn't grab me, right? And that was because back then, meditation for me was a lot about effort. And it was, my mind back then was much more, obsessed and busy. And so there was a lot of pushing those thoughts away, coming back to the breath, pushing away, coming back. There was a lot of effort involved. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there was a lot of tension in the body, right? Contraction in the body, in the mind. And so then when I tried this open, free-flowing awareness of awareness, it's like, where was the tension? So I was sort of lost. It's like, what the hell is this? There's no tension. Now, thankfully, I'm a little more hypersensitive. Hyper is maybe the wrong word, but I'm a little more sensitive, and I notice finer sensations. Before they had to be pretty gross to really notice them. Now I can notice the finer sensations. So I say this, so don't, try not to have expectations. I mean, this is probably the best advice to give, especially a new person anyways, is just try not to have any expectations. Just see what happens. See what happens. And because this awareness of awareness or natural awareness or objectless awareness is really about just being with ourselves as we are in our most natural state. This is if there is a goal, and in fact there isn't, but if there is a goal, it's to be with ourselves as naturally as we can be. Right? Which the body is already aware. We don't need to do anything, right? The only kind of difference is sometimes we're aware that we're aware, and a lot of times we're not. A lot of times we're up in our head, our doing, thinking about whatever, and we don't even notice what the body is noticing. But it is just naturally aware. This is how nature made us. And so this practice is just kind of being with that. It's just experiencing that naturalness, right? The naturaleza que somos. Here, I'll read a little bit from Adyashanti. Now I remember last time, hopefully it will come up. So first I got to hit share screen, right? Hit share screen. Or no, wait, first maybe I got to put it on the book. No. Share screen. Okay, share screen. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is just from the beginning of the book called True Meditation, but apparently it came from a pamphlet or something he had prepared. And anyways, I like how it summarizes what we're talking about. So we'll call it True Meditation because that's what he calls it. He says, true meditation has no direction, goals, or method. It's like, what? It's just like, all methods aim at achieving a certain state of mind. And all states are limited, impermanent, and conditioned. We know this, right? It's like nothing is permanent. Everything is constantly changing. Fascination with states leads only to bondage and dependency. Wow. True meditation is abidance as primordial consciousness. This was a big fat mouthful of a word, right? Or phrase, primordial consciousness. But I think what he's going to is this is our natural state. This is our natural awareness, our natural consciousness. True meditation appears in consciousness spontaneously when awareness is not fixated on objects of perception. So this is kind of sort of the key, I think, to kind of get into it. Sometimes we have to kind of back into it a little bit. It's like maybe we're on the breath. The breath is the object of our awareness. The object of our perception is the breath. We're feeling the breath. At that moment, we're with the breath. And then we just kind of let go of the breath, but we still know that the body is experiencing the breath. It's like we just back up a little bit, and then the breath isn't the most prominent thing in our awareness, but a sense of the breath is still there. We still know that the breath is there, and the body is experiencing the breath. When you first start to meditate, you notice that awareness is always focused, or maybe he's going to say what I just said, focused on subject, on thoughts, bodily sensations, emotions, memories, sounds, etc. This is because the mind is conditioned to focus and contract upon objects. And this is true, even in our school, we're told to concentrate and to study and to fix on this and so forth. So it's just a habit of the mind. In true meditation, or in awareness of awareness, all objects are left to their natural functioning. And I really like this with thoughts. One of the probably most common misconceptions about meditation is that we shouldn't think, that there should be no thoughts. And this frustrates so many people. Oh, I can't meditate. My brain won't stop thinking. Thoughts keep coming. This detours a lot of people from practicing because of this misunderstanding. Thoughts are going to come, right? And after a while, we get to practice with them where they come, and then we just let them go. We don't feed them. First they come and, oh, that's interesting. Let's think about that, and then we'll think about it for a while. We'll go on a little journey, and then eventually we'll realize, oh, I've been on this thinking journey, and then we come back. But with this practice, especially, I find, because you're in this open awareness, up comes a thought bubble, a topic, right? Like this would be funny for Lara and Carlos, who were at the Saladana yesterday. So the doors did not get installed. Okay, the guys showed up, but they were missing a crucial part of the door, and so they're not installed. So during the meditation, even today, as I was leading it, that thought came up, right? About the doors and about putting in the doors. And so it's a favorite topic of mine, these damn doors. And so, I could have gone on a little journey with the doors, planned out the next week. When am I going to get the doors? Who should I be mad at? Whatever. But instead, it's just like doors didn't get installed yesterday, gone. Like that. So they're just going to keep popping up, boom, 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 but we don't have to go on the trip with them. Okay. I like this a lot. I like this word that he uses, manipulate. This means that no effort should be made to manipulate or suppress any object of awareness. So we don't want to wrestle with our thoughts. We don't want to fight with them. We just let them come and let them go, right? And this is the part that I highlighted. In true meditation, or in awareness of awareness, objectless meditation, the emphasis is on being aware, or being awareness. Like this is interesting that I don't know if that was a typo or whether he really means that, but on being awareness, and I'll explain why I find that interesting. In true meditation, the emphasis is on being awareness, not on being aware of objects, but on resting as primordial awareness itself. So the reason I find this interesting, this guy, Adyashanti, he was a Zen monk for a number of years. He was trained as a Zen monk. But he found that the Zen practice of focusing on the breath and so forth was he could never get the hang of it after years. Just didn't work for him, you know? And that's when he invented or whatever, discovered this particular practice, and this is what he teaches. And he's a non-dual spiritual teacher, is what they call him, Advaita. And this practice of awareness is especially popular or common in the non-dual world, because we get this sense that we're all one, right? Because this awareness just can seem limitless. It's like there's no end to it. And then we really get it. There's no me and them. There's no separateness. You know, like I mentioned last week, Thich Nhat Hanh, he's quoted as saying, "We are here to wake up from the illusion of separateness." This is why we're here, to realize our true nature. And so also when he says being awareness, this is what, say, Muji might say, the spiritual leader who I sometimes quote, who has a retreat center in Portugal, or Ram Dass, the late Ram Dass. They say this is our true nature. Our true nature is awareness, kind, loving awareness at that. It's awareness. This is our true nature. Or Jeff Foster, Anna Monica is just, I don't know, he's English, right, Anna Monica? Yeah, wonderful non-dualist teacher from England by the name of Jeff Foster, very poetic guy. And in Buddhism, we look at it slightly differently, where it's no self, right? There's no self really, there's only emptiness, there's nothing, it's all fabricated. But to me, at least in my opinion, there isn't a difference between these two points of view. They just use slightly different words. So when we do awareness of awareness from kind of a Buddhist perspective, that sense also of no self starts to arise. Or that is that awareness is just being known. There's no self actually knowing it. There's no me that knows, the bodily sensations. It is just being known. And this is such a great practice to develop that kind of perception, you might say, which leads to letting go. It leads to non-clinging. It leads to not personalizing. I mean, I can't think of anything that makes me suffer and has made me suffer more in my life than personalizing something that has nothing to do with me. Right? And it still does, like for instance, and Mark will understand this. I have no idea where you are politically, but the political situation in the United States is an absolute disaster right now. It's just a disaster. And sometimes I'll personalize it, like I got to do something about it. It's my fault. It's my responsibility. That can stress me out big time, and does. Right? It's probably my biggest. My mind is constantly looking for something to fix. And boy, that's a job that needs fixing big time. But with the practice of this open awareness, this expanded awareness, this awareness of awareness, these things start to fall away. They just start to fall away because we start to see the true nature of ourself, the true nature of all things. That's why I like how Diane Winston calls it natural awareness, because it's just natural. It's nature at work doing its thing. Let me just look one more time at Adyashanti's thing, but I might stop there and see if we have any questions or anything. Let's see here. Okay, I'll end with this because it kind of connects to what I was saying. In this last paragraph, he writes, the simple yet profound question, who am I, can then reveal oneself not to be the endless tyranny of the ego personality, but objectless freedom of being, primordial consciousness, in which all states and all objects come and go as manifestations of the eternal unborn self that you are. I mean, that's kind of some interesting words there, but the internal unborn self that you are. It's like, in Buddhism, we don't die because we were never born. It's just a continuance. And he looks at, it's a slightly different perspective, but it's such a beautiful perspective, I think. And this practice can really enhance that wisdom, right? And generally speaking, it does fall within the vipassana of the two groups that I was telling you about, the concentration and the vipassana. This would be more of a vipassana practice, this awareness of awareness. And I was hoping that Luis was going to be on the call. Maybe he's on YouTube, I don't know. But he'd asked about, I think he did, last week, about whether this differs from, or how does this differ from choiceless awareness? Some of you have practiced with me where we've done choiceless awareness in the last 10 minutes, where we just let the mind go wherever it's going to go, and that becomes the object. We don't choose, we let the mind kind of choose itself. Well, this is a little bit different, and I'm going to use a story that I heard, and I'll end with this, to kind of describe it. So this was offered by a student, where the student said that object awareness is kind of like a sailor in his sailboat, steering his sailboat. It's like he has a direction. I guess he uses the rudder. I don't know much about sailing, but, and he's kind of turning and working, and he's got a direction. He's floating along, but usually there's a path, right? Or at least he's controlling it a little bit. Choiceless awareness, so that's the one that we sometimes practice, where we don't choose the object, he said, is more like scuba diving. So you're in Anna Monica, I took her scuba diving once, and we were in Africa, I think. It was awesome. But so you're underneath, and you don't really choose what fish are going to come up or what coral you're going to see or whatever. They just kind of come and you check them out, right? So that's more like choiceless awareness. And natural awareness, or awareness of awareness, is like being the sea itself, being the ocean itself. It contains all things, right? So that's kind of, I liked how that progression, you might call it, sort of distinguishes between those different things. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Does anybody want to say something? Please. I want to hear somebody's voice, anybody's voice, besides my own. Okay, Javier, please unmute yourself.
Hello. I want to know why at the beginning of the meditation we do meditation in an object, and then we do meditation, open meditation. Why don't do open meditation from the beginning?
Yeah, thank you. Javier, you absolutely can start right from the beginning as open meditation. You don't need to start with an object. The reason we do is that we mostly, for these, years, I guess, that we've been meeting on Sunday, we have pretty much done a samatha meditation at the beginning of the practice, and then we've done normally a vipassana in the last 10 minutes. And it's just kind of how we've done it. Like I know, and Esther knows, in Chema's group, he breaks them up. He'll do a samatha one and stop, and then he talks, and then do a vipassana one or whatever. And we just happen to do them together. But for your own practice at home or whatever, or even you could just ignore me, right? And do whatever you want, really. I mean, sometimes it can take a few minutes, at least for me. Sometimes it can take more than a few minutes for me to be able to get into awareness of awareness. It isn't like I can just plop right in and do it. Sometimes I need to calm the mind. I need to center the mind. I need to concentrate a little bit before I can do it. But if you're nice and concentrated and you can just launch right off, absolutely, I would do it. There's no right or wrong here. It's whatever works. I mean, for me, honestly, in the morning, sometimes my mind has to think for 30 minutes. I got to plan my whole day before I can finally start to concentrate. So I sit for an hour, and in the last half an hour is nice. The first half an hour is not terrible, but I think a lot. Thank you for the question. Anybody else have a question? Or? Let me see a show of hands. How many people kind of felt like they were sort of getting the awareness of awareness? Okay. And then people are kind of like, nah, maybe not. Yeah. Lara, it took me years, honestly, years to think I was getting it. So no worries. It's yeah. Cool. All right, well, why don't we do a little metta meditation, and then for those who are interested, I will stay and open up little groups, and you guys could chat interactively if you'd like to, but we'll do a little metta meditation first. Okay, so find a comfortable posture. I often like to put my hands right on my heart center, because this metta, this loving kindness, this goodwill practice is a heart practice as well as a concentration practice. Developing, cultivating the qualities of the heart. So we're going to start off with ourselves and using phrases to offer goodwill, good wishes to ourselves. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. And may I live with ease. So now let's imagine that we can offer goodwill, loving kindness to those people, those beings who are involved on the front lines of the pandemic, possibly working in hospitals or in essential jobs where they're at risk, or maybe they've had family members who have been sick or they've been sick themselves, they've lost loved ones. And maybe a little shout out for me for those in California, Oregon, Washington, the West Coast of the United States who are suffering from these crazy fires and have lost their homes or also loved ones. May they be happy. May they be well. May they be safe. May they live with ease. And now let's choose or imagine a difficult person, somebody in your life where maybe there's a little resentment towards them right now. Maybe they hurt your feelings in some way, or maybe they're just, struggling themselves and they just don't want to change. Some kind of difficulty going on, and let's offer them some loving kindness, some goodwill, some metta. May they be happy. May they be well. May they be safe. May they live with ease. And finally, for all beings, in all directions, without exception, just imagine it radiating out from your mind body. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings live with ease. And finally, to dedicate the merit of our practice, of our Sangha, of the teachings, and of our Buddha nature, sharing it, dedicating it for the benefit of all beings. May all beings be happy and peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence and discrimination, racism, and free from coronavirus. May all beings find not only their path, but a practice, a space, a place, a basket where they really feel held. They really feel like they matter. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. And again, thank you all very much. It's definitely made the COVID kind of shut down more tolerable every Sunday. Seeing you guys, for sure, for sure. So I'm happy to stay on and